Go ahead, Linx.
Okay. Oh yeah. So what was it like? What was the experience? Your experience like with your first time suiting?
Oh, okay. Well, as soon as we're done with this raid, I'll go into that. Okay. Well, Pika, we were just about to go into a story about the first time I got my fursuit, stuff like that. So sit back, relax, and chill. Yo, Evan. Okay, so Evan, here's my. Oh, Wild banned him. Cool. Thanks, Wild. I was gonna give him one more shot, but Wild ban hammer. Perfect. Thank you. All right, so Pika, this is the story about the first time I got my suit. Now, you guys need to hear some backstory in order to understand the emotional impact the suit had on me, okay? So I ordered my suit 2 years before I got it, okay? And I was told at the time that it would take 6 months to get it. So I was pretty hyped, and as time went on, it became I became less and less, like I became disinterested in it because like time just kept going on. I didn't think I was going to get it. I sent a message to the maker about 6 months before TFF, and they were just like, hey, yeah, sure, I'll get it to you by TFF. I'll try. I can't guarantee it, but I'll try really, really hard. I'm like, okay, cool. I've already waited like a year and 3/4 at this point. I don't really have a time frame for this. Sure, if you get it done, fantastic, but you don't. About 2 months after that message I sent to her, me and my fiance broke up, okay? And that was a hard point in my life. So that we've been together for about 10 years at that point, and we separated. We were still living in the same house, but like we had separated and gone our separate ways. So that we'd known each other for 10 years, and when we met, we were different people, and we grew into different people, and we just grew apart. Okay. So they were still living in my house for about 2 or 3 months, and during those time periods, like I was trying to like basically get over them, but it's really hard to get over somebody that's living in your house. And like they were trying to be cute, and they were trying to be nice, and they were trying to like how should I put it, support me by like they would see me being sad, so they would come over and they would give me a hug to like comfort me, which would make it worse because like I'm trying to get over my emotional attachment to them, and they're giving me emotional support from them. So like it's kind of like a bad cycle.
Oh no.
Yeah. But like as time went on, we were planning on going to TFF, okay? Because we go to TFF every single year, for like the last 4 years, okay? So, a month and a half away from TFF is there, and I'm at work, and I get a Telegram message from Personalities, okay? Jake, do I have any medical knowledge? No, I have more law knowledge than medical knowledge, and I have more geology knowledge than medical knowledge. Anyway, about a month and a half before TFF, I get a DM from Personalities, and I ignore it, because at this point in time, I'm just like, okay, I don't need something else on my plate. I don't need any more disappointment on my plate. Whatever's happening. I don't care about my fursuit, whatever, right? I check in on it like a half hour later, and I pull it up, and she's like, hey, Jake, so, it's a month and a half from TFF, and there's 3 people ahead of you, and they have really complicated suits. And I replied back to them, yeah, I know, don't worry about it. I realized that with these suits ahead of me, you won't be able to finish them in time for me to have my suit by TFF, right? And she replies like, yeah, but what if you could have it? And I'm like, what? And she's just like, I can't guarantee it, but I'm going to talk to them. Most of these guys have already had their like other suits, and this is like their 4th or 5th suit from me or from other people. I'm going to see if they'll let you get your first ahead of time. And I was like, okay, that would be great. But at this point in time, I didn't want to set myself up. How much was my suit? $6,000. At this point in time, I didn't want to set myself up for disappointment. So I'm like, okay, well, if it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, don't worry about it, right? I go back to work. 3 hours later, I get another message from them. And they message me back. It's like, hey, all 3 of them have said, fuck yes, go for it. So I'm going to work on your suit in like the next couple days. Okay? So I send them the text, DM, stuff like that. And at this entire time that I'm starting to send the messages, stuff like that, I hadn't realized. But as soon as I started messaging them, I started getting just a little bit more happy. I did not realize how just like sad I was over those course of those like 3 months. But like there was almost like there was a light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing, right? then a day comes about 2.5 weeks before TFF, and I'm driving it to a place that's like an hour and a half away. I have a work contract, hour and a half away, and Big Papa is $6,000. Anyway, there was I was about 45 minutes in my hour and a half drive, and I get a message from Personalities, and it's a picture of Jik being done. Like, it's done. And it's ready. It's in a box with Nero, like Wild's address on it, and it's been shipped. And the message was, hey, just letting you know, it's been shipped. It's going to be ready by Texas Furry Fiesta. It'll be there for you. And I had to pull my vehicle over into a gas station, and I basically like started messaging him and like crying because I was so happy. They had no idea like the emotional stuff I was going on behind the scenes. I kept that all private to myself, so I just kind of like unloaded. And at that point in time, it was the first time I had smiled in maybe about 4 or 5 months. It was the first time I had smiled in those time periods of that. It might seem weird with like all my high energy, my happy energy, stuff like that, but it was like a tough time for me, stuff like that, and it got me smile again. Okay, so there's now 2 weeks before Texas Furry Fiesta, right? My ex-fiance leaves the house about 4 days before I'm going to be able to leave because they're not working, stuff like that, so they can just leave to go to it, right? So for the first time in about 4 months, I can actually sleep on a bed. I had chosen, because like we were together for 10 years, so we had the same bedroom, right? I had chosen to let her have the bedroom. I was sleeping on the couch for about 4 months, right? Which is, it's shit for your back, but like it would be really awkward to sleep in the same bed as your ex, right? Like your ex-fiance, right? It's just awkward. So, and at the time, like she'd gone like a new boyfriend, all that kind of stuff, and she'd gone down to Texas to go see him, right? So awesome, right? So I go, Chris, we're in the middle of a good story. So I get up to my bedroom, stuff like that, and it's kind of torn apart, okay? Because they packed in a hurry. And when I get in there, there is an old phone sitting there on top of a suitcase. Like an old phone that like should not be there. Like it shouldn't be charged. We haven't used these phones in like 5 years kind of thing. Like old phones we just never threw out, right? So I walk over to it like in the like just confusion, and I pick it up, and it's fully charged and on. And I'm like, the fuck is this? So I put it aside, I put it down because it's their phone, stuff like that, and I go into bed. And while I'm in bed, stuff like that, thoughts just kept on running past me. Over the course of like the time that we'd broken up from like those last couple months, a lot of things had happened to just give me this like overall feeling that I had been cheated on, stuff like that. Like something was going on behind the scenes that just things weren't adding up. And the only thing in my mind that would add up to them was that there was an outside force. And I had a very good idea who the outside force was, okay? So the day goes by, I hardly sleep, I go to work. I work a full day at work, and the entire time I'm just thinking about it. And out on my way driving home, I'm just like, okay. The phone's there. I can put all my anxieties to rest, and one or two things are going to happen. Either I'm going to confirm what I thought, and I'm going to have to deal with that, or I'm not going to confirm what I thought, and then I'm going to have to live with that I did not trust them with that kind of thing. Because I trusted them. Like, they've been my partner for 10 years, right? I trusted them implicitly, okay? So, whatchamacallit? Yo, welcome on in. So, I get back home, and I grab the phone, and I open it up. And they had an app on this phone that is a fantastic app. It's an app that takes all your rest of your apps and brings your chat into one chat. So your chats from like Twitter and Discord and Telegram and stuff like that, they're all in one place. You don't have to go to multiple places. I had no idea this app existed, but it did. And I clicked on it, and there was messages between them and this other person. And this other person was a person that we knew as like tangential friends for like maybe the last 3-4 years, stuff like that. And is the one that they're currently dating, right? Which to me was very strange because I've known this person for 10 years. They take a very long time to get attached to somebody, to date somebody. And they dated probably within about maybe 3 weeks after we broke up. It was just really weird timing. So I started going through with these messages, and I had to crawl through like 3 months worth of messages. I had to like scroll as fast as I could, but there was just like so much lewd and so much like sexual stuff going on between the two of them. I'm like, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this. Like I had to get past like all this stuff, like, because this is a person I spent 10 years with my life with. I really don't like hearing them like doing this sexual stuff with other person, but also this is after a time that we already broke up, right? Therefore it's none of my business, right? Because we're already broken up. So I had to crawl through that, get past that, right? After I crawled through that, get past that, I got to a point that was after we broke up, right? Like, sorry, before we broke up. And basically we had a conversation about basically 1 month before we broke up, we had a conversation being like, hey, let's give this one last try. I have a Christmas break coming up that we can go off, have a vacation, be with each other for like 2 weeks. We'll go to a hot springs, we'll do all this kind of stuff, and we'll try to rekindle the relationship one last time, kind of thing, right? And we had this conversation, we both came to the conclusion, yes, let's do it for one last time. This other guy, like, jumped on in and just attacked my old partners of that, just being like, what the fuck is this? Break up with him. He's such a piece of shit. Like going hands of that. We've already been together, done all this stuff. Basically, he literally just did like 14 paragraphs covering their entire relationship over the last year that I had no idea about. Just like spamming like all the reasons why I'm like terrible and stuff like that, and why they should be together, and all the things they've already done together. Like, how can you just say we're friends when we've done all of this? And I'm just like sitting there reading it, like step by step by step, like pulling it all in. I'm just like,
just trying to process it all.
Well, I don't really get angry, stuff like that. The feelings were just betrayal, confusion, and just you just felt hurt. Yeah, I was just extremely hurt. I did not sleep that night. Yeah. The next day, I went out, worked a day of the shift, and my boss, my boss had known me for like 2 years, so that he could tell my entire mood was just shifted. He volunteered, instead of me driving to the airport, to drive me to the airport. He drove me to the airport, and while we're talking, we had a conversation of like what's going on. I basically just unloaded it. And he's like, okay, like he's been there before because he also had an ex-wife, stuff like that. And we just kind of like talked about stuff like that. I get to the airport and I'm still just distraught. I am just like confused, angry. I'm just overall just really, really hurt. And Wild and Kay, you guys don't know Kay, but he's a fantastic artist. They actually just talked to me for like maybe like 3-5 hours when I'm just sitting in the airport waiting for my flight. And they got me to a point where I was able to sleep. So I slept on the plane flight to TFF, and it was just like, it was just such a rocky flight. I could barely sleep, and honestly, I was just so like, my emotions were just all over the place that it was so hard for me to sleep. I get to Texas, and I'm sweaty, I'm gross, and I haven't really slept that much, and it's just like, it's just not a good time, right? But I also realized I'm here, and everybody else is on vacation. Everybody else, this is not their bullshit. And they don't need to deal with this bullshit because this is my bullshit, right? Why would I inflict everything that's going on with me onto all my friends that just came here for a vacation, right? So I kind of like just sucked it up, put it in, and a good friend of mine, Maury, picked me up from the airport and drew me to the house. They drive me to the house. Everybody else is kind of asleep. Some of them are wakes up that. I go into the house. I go upstairs and have a shower, right? Just to shower off, clean up, stuff like that, so I'm not gross. I come downstairs, and there's Wild and everybody else, and they've got a big box from Personalities. And in that moment, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I really didn't. I wasn't in the mood. But they were just so happy. Like, all of them were just so happy to be like, Jake, your new fursuit's here. And I'm just like, yeah, let's do it, guys. And there's actually a video on my channel of like the unboxing, which is great, stuff like that. So I go there and I start unpacking it, and it's so nice. It was so soft. It had this like new fursuit smell, stuff like that. And they were all like so happy. So like I was getting their like happy energy vibes. So I put it on and stuff like that. I'm like, aha, I give them all hugs, stuff like that. And it was okay. And then they're just like, Jake, you gotta go upstairs and see it. And I'm like, what you mean? It's like, we got a full body mirror upstairs. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I walk upstairs, stuff like that, and I get to the top of the stairs. I walk into the room with the full body mirror, and the second I see myself in the mirror, it was strange. It was like all the weights of the world that were holding me back, any sadness, any betrayal, almost like anything in my life that was holding me back were self-restrictions that I put on me. They immediately fell off, and like I kind of like just stood up straight, and I was just happy, just purely happy, and like it didn't matter to me anymore. Like everything that happened like in the past, in that moment I was completely reborn. Everything in the past no longer mattered. This is now my new life, and it's a new start. And real talk, I am so thankful to personalities that they didn't finish my suit on time. Like if they had to finish my suit on time, then it would have had the connotation that I was in my fursuit with my old partners of that, and would have had all this negative stuff. But it was literally the start of my new life, and I couldn't be more happy. I went out and I suited for 48 hours in 3 days, and I almost never took it off. I ran around until I was exhausted. I ate in it, lived in it, and I had such a great con. At the convention, I did take some time to take it off. I went and confronted them both and said my piece. I gave her a week to get out of my house and a month to get her stuff out of my house, and she was gone out of my life in about 2 weeks, and I haven't spoken to them since. But yeah, TLDR, my first time ever putting on the fursuit was truly magical because it was the start of my brand new life. And I never thought before that those people that were like born again Christians, I thought it was all bullshit. Like, okay, you used to be you, but you're just pretending. But now I get it. I understand how an event in your life can change your entire life's course for the better. So yeah, that's the story of how it felt when I first got my fursuit. And you need that context behind it to understand. Rap. Yo, Linx, are you muted, boy?
I'm good. I'm here. Sorry, I was just listening to your story. It was just so...
Too much, eh?
That was just so deep.
Yeah. I'm a deep boy.
Yeah, no, that was a good story though.
Yo, Fat Rival, I appreciate it. I know a lot of you guys literally just came in and midway through the story and they're like, what the fuck is this? But that was the story of how I got my fursuit for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just letting Jake tell his story because that was just such a deep story. I didn't want to interrupt.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
But hey, it had a good ending at least.
Hell yeah, it did. And everybody that just followed, appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I can't see who did it, but thanks, guys. Appreciate it.